So in Garry's mod, we've seen a bunch of mods that let you kind of bend the rules of what you can do. Maybe you like to spawn things in, and, well, you can obviously do that with this. Now, of course, things don't always save, but you can make your own save using the save feature in Garry's mod, although that requires you to have to go into here and then load it up every time, and that's just monotonous. But what if I told you there's a mod that you can use to control and edit the entities within Garry's mod with just a few simple clicks? And that is exactly what this mod is, my friends. This is MMM, also known as the Modest Map Manipulator. So let's start with this mirror here. This mirror is obviously something that is a great feature in this map, but, well, we can't really interact with it. But that changes today, because using MMM, we can now grab things seemingly ungrabbable before and move it wherever we want. So this is so trippy to see at first, because it feels like we're kind of like breaking the laws of physics, and I guess in some ways we are. Using this, you do have to make sure you go over to tools here and click on the grabber tool. This is going to let you grab stuff. If you want to remove stuff, use the remover tool, and you can remove things, even the light in the light room. That's to the extent that we're talking about in today's video. Now, if you do want to move around because, well, we're kind of stuck here. As you can see, our mouse doesn't move our camera anymore. Hold shift and move to any edge of the screen and you'll move in that direction. Now, all this stuff is really cool and everything, but make sure you're also going to be in edit mode. And this is going to be extremely handy for what we're about to do. We actually removed that, so that's kind of a bummer. Now we're screwed, but don't worry, because we can use the cleanup tool to pretty much bring everything back to the way it was. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and change our tool here. Let's go to the grabber. Let's go ahead and grab this. Now, if you want to rotate, hold down the E key and use WASD while you do so, and you'll be able to rotate it. Now, it's a little finicky even with that because, well, it's kind of weird to move it with the WASD keys, but I'm going to try to get this remotely on this wall here. The more sensitive your keyboard, the more difficult this is going to be. Okay, you know what? That is totally fine for me. So we love that, obviously. You know, that looks cool. We're going to go ahead and save. Now, that's great and all, but, well, it's not going to save. As we know, we're going to do our thing and all that, but it's just going to go back to where it was. But that is where we do this. Make sure you right-click and make permanent. Now that it does that, it's going to stay there forever. And maybe you don't like this light anymore, we can do auto delete, and this is going to make it automatically delete right when we start the game. Alright, so I just did it to all these panels here. By the way, if you guys also want to know, you can even change the color of things. So if you want this to be a red room, then you totally can. And again, you can save it to be that way. Alright, so now that we've done that, let's go ahead and restart. And I'm going to show you guys, without editing anything, just what this looks like. So I just restarted the game. Let's go down here, and what do you know? The mirror is now on this side of the wall, and we can go even a step further. Obviously over here, these didn't quite get deleted. I think it's because we didn't save it. So let's go ahead and auto delete all this again. Again, make sure the editor mode is on. All right, fantastic. So now what we're going to do is, like I said, I'm going to go the extra mile. I'm going to completely disconnect, and that's what's going to separate this mod from other mods that let you change things on the map, because we don't have to go in and do any crazy stuff. It should, in theory, save it, and you guys saw it right there. No editing or anything. The mirror is permanently on this side, and as we can see over here in the light room, all of the light is gone forever, never to be seen again. Now, of course, if you hate this, don't worry, because we can go into here, go into editor mode, and clean up. And it's going to reset everything to the way it was, so you can always go back. Now, this is just the tip of the iceberg, but in order to properly show off even more of the capabilities of this mod, we need to go to a better map. But before we do that, I do want to show off one thing, and this is something that's really cool, because not only can we remove stuff, but we can even add things. So I don't know about you guys, but I hate having to climb up this wall all the time by going over there or just no clipping. So if you want to make it more immersive, you can just make a ladder. And, well, that's a pretty shit ladder, but it's gonna have to work for today's video. Now, what we have to do is, we can't just leave this here and it'll save. Of course not. We have to now go back into MM, open it up, make sure editor mode is on, and we're going to right click this, and I'm going to freeze it, and then you want to make it permanent. What that's going to do is it's going to make it to where it stays no matter what, obviously. Now we're gonna go ahead and save. Let's go ahead and restart this just to show you guys again that it does work. All right, we just loaded in. And over here we can see, yeah, some problems. So the ladder doesn't function anymore. I don't know what went wrong with that. It could be editor mode was on, and that could have affected it. We can load it back in, but it's not the same. Alright, so what about a map that's a bit more dense? And that's going to be this apartment map. So, I mean, there's a lot of props here. Maybe you want to play prop hunt? This would be a pretty good map for prop hunt. I mean, there's not like a crazy amount of props, but there should be enough to do a few things. But what if you don't want to play prop hunt and maybe, you know, like you have these chairs here and you run into it and or maybe like you just can't stand the thought of this chair here and maybe you want to get rid of this light too? Well, don't worry, we can fix all that. So first things first, we're going to go ahead and clean up just so everything's back to where it was. We're going to make sure editor mode is on. And what we're going to do is we're going to go in here and we're going to disable the collision. And that's going to make it to where we can actually, well, walk past this and not run into it. And I'll probably do the same to those stools over there. So this is going to make it handy because it's not going to remove any of the functionality with the prop. And I'm going to show you guys that in a second. Also, while we're here, so we can't remove the chair, unfortunately. Some items in maps can't be controlled, but that might be changed in a future update for this mod. So maybe you can't stand, I don't know, looking at these switches. Maybe you just hate switches for some reason. Well, we can go ahead and auto-delete. Maybe you hate this box too. Let's go ahead and auto-delete that as well. And now we're going to go ahead and disconnect. Again, nothing can be saved normally, unless you do make a save, in which case you have to go through all that stuff. But now we're going to load into this map without doing anything extra. And I'm going to show you guys. Boom. No more collision. And no more box. And no more... Okay, well, the switches stayed. So I think we just disabled the function for these. Yeah, these don't work anymore. I think these normally turn the lights on and off, so maybe you just like the lights being on all the time. Well, now you can't turn them off. And this pretty much applies to anything that we can find on this map. If it has this wireframe on it, we can do something to it. Maybe you hate this door. We can, again, go ahead and do auto-delete. Now that door is not going to spawn in when we load into this map. And I just think this stuff is extremely cool. The fact that you can customize these maps to pretty much fit whatever needs you desire is just really cool to me. So I'm going to go ahead and do clean up. Make sure, of course, editor mode is on. Clean up. And I'm going to see what those switches did. Okay, yeah, so the switches did turn the lights off. Interesting. Again, you know, you can't do that with a fizz gun. Alright, so we've talked about removing things and changing things, but what about adding new things? I mean, we saw we could do it with the ladder, but now we're going to try it on this map, and it's pretty easy. We just spawn in whatever we want, so maybe we want to spawn in this map and we want a bunch of explosive barrels. This is going to be a nightmare. We're going to go ahead and make all of these permanent, and you know, while we're at it, we're going to do something even more goofy. Let's go into the tools here, and let's use the leaf blower. This is going to let you push props very lightly. Maybe you don't want to like move it too far. You just want to push it out of the way for whatever reason. Well, you can. And maybe you like balls. Well, we have a ball spawner for days. Now again, you are going to have to make sure that you make these permanent if you want the balls to stay around. And then last up, we have a balloon tool. Kind of interesting because we do already have a balloon tool. I'm going to go ahead and make these permanent just so they do stay. And now that we've done all of this, let's save and let's restart. All right. Once again, not going to edit this out so you guys know I'm not bluffing. This should be pretty interesting. We're in the map, and what do you know? All the stuff that we saved. Now, obviously, not all the barrels did because I didn't do it to all the barrels, but for the things that did do it on, well, it worked. And now every time we load this map in, this is what we get. For instance, you can even make things invisible. So this, whoa, that is weird. So this door is still here. It's just invisible. And now we get an interesting look at how certain things work in Garry's mod. For instance, now we know how the whole door thing works. It almost like stops loading in the map on the other side of the door once we have it closed. But then once we open it, it's almost like it just opens back up again. That is so weird. We can also go into health, and there's different options for certain things. So the color of the rectangle also kind of tells you what it does. For instance, these purple things here, we can see these are prop dynamics, and then these over here are obviously rotating doors. Now for the door, we can ignite it for whatever reason. You don't have to go into saves, you don't have to open any menus, it's all going to be done automatically. So guys, I would love to know your thoughts on this mod. It's a really, really cool mod. This is the kind of stuff that gets me excited because it really kind of changes the way you play the game. So props to the creator, you did a fantastic job. And I can't wait to see if this mod does get updated, what will get added in the future. But guys, if you did like this video, you can leave a like, subscribe. Links will be in the description as always. I want to thank you all so much for watching this until the end. And until next time, farewell.